Now let's look at map, filter and reduce method. So for example, we want to multiply each digit by 2. So we do that by writing a for each iteration and multiply each element by 2 and then return it. So if we go ahead and print this, we see that our digits array have not been changed. This is because the for each only traverses the array and does some specific operation. It does not change the array. So to do this with for each, we have to declare a new array and we have to push each of these multiplied elements to the new array. But we can remove all of that and use the map method. So let's go ahead and write the map method. So we'll say digits dot map. It as well as takes a callback function. So it will take a callback function, and let's say we want this element and we have to return the element multiplied by 2, or let's say we want to add 1. So let's go ahead and print this. We see that it did not modify the array. This is because map will always return a new array. So let's go ahead and assign it. Let's say mapped array equals this, and let's go ahead and print this mapped array. So now we see that each of these array elements have been added 1. So let's go ahead and use this map method to do some specific operation on these objects of array of objects. So we will say players dot map, so as well as a callback function, and we say that p, and from here we will just return the name of the players. So let's go ahead and print this. So in printing this, we see that only the names have been printed. So now let's use the filter method. So the filter method is used to filter some specific elements from the array based on some condition. So in filter, we have to have some kind of condition. Let's say we want to only want a new array where there is only even numbers. So let events equal, let's say digits dot, we say filter, and in this filter we'll take one argument, let's say d, and it is going to return, let's say whether d mod 2 equal 0. So here these are the digits of our digits array, and we are checking if this condition satisfies. And here we can omit the return keyword as well as curly braces, as there's only one statement after this arrow function. So this is checking that if this condition is true, this is going to push the elements to that array. Some conditions are false, that is not going to push those elements in the array. So let's go ahead and print this console.log, let's say events. So we see that here are only two even number 4 and 6, and that have been printed. Now let's apply this filter on this player's array of objects. So let's say use a filtered so players dot is a filter method, and in this filter method we will take the reference to our object, it's a p, and we will return where p dot 5 point is greater than, let's say 4.3. so let's console log so we see that here greater than 4.3 is greater than 4.3 is only one value, that is 4.9, and it returned an array, and in that array there is only one object. So let's say we want greater than 4. Let's say we want now the age to be greater than 30. So greater than 30 will return these two elements. And lastly, let's take a look at the reduce method. So let's say we want to calculate the sum of these digits array, all the elements sum. So we can do that using a reduce method, and unlike map and filter, reduce will always return a single value. So let's define, let sum equal digits dot reduce, let's say reduce, and this reduce callback will take two number. One is the accumulator, and the second one is the let's say d. So what will this accumulator do? So accumulator is mainly the value that will be used to add the sum, and let's say we want to return accumulator equal accumulator plus d. So what does this do? Accumulator is a value that we have to initialize, and with that value every element will be added, and we can initialize this accumulator using this after writing the callback function. So here we can initial value, let's say 0. So let's now print out the sum. It's console.log the sum. Let's see. So as you can see that in 188 the sum has been printed using the reduce method. So to recap, reduce method will take two parameters. First one is the accumulator, and second one is the elements to be added. So we have to declare the accumulator after the callback function, and in every iteration we will update the accumulator with the digits. And if we do not define this initial value of accumulator, by default it will take this value as the accumulator value instead of our given accumulator value. And let's say we want to use the reduce method on this array of objects, we say player dot reduce, and here we want the, let's say, sum comma p, and here we will use the sum equal sum plus, let's say we want the sum of the 5 points. So do that, and after this callback function we initialize the 0 as the sum, and let's assign this to a variable. Let's console log. So we see that all the 5 points are added to be 13 point this. So to recap, map, filter and reduce. Map will return the elements of a new array that is the same length of the original array. It will perform some specific operation on the array elements and return the same length array as of the original. Then filter will take conditions. It can take multiple conditions and it will fulfill that condition, and based on that condition it will return a new array that might be less length of the original array. And lastly, reduce will only return a single value from an array. It might be sum or maximum number of an array, anything that will return only a single value.